interesting, and I think I'm really lucky to work with you. Let me share my screen. One minute. Okay. So today I'm going to just a moment. Today I'm going to talk about how to run a creative retrospective. But first, I would like to ask you a quick question. Think about your last retrospective meeting that you took part in. How did it go? Was it boring? Maybe there was too much blaming between people. Or maybe at the end, you just wanted to run away. My wish is that your next retrospective will look like this. So today I'm going to talk about why do we really need a retrospective in a Scrum team and how to make it creative and productive. We will cover retrospective meeting components and several ideas for each part. We'll go through problem-solving techniques and additional tips that will help you during the retrospective. To those who don't know me, I'm Rivka, engineer manager of the mobile platform team. Started as an iOS developer and about 4 years at Chegg. I have 2 little kids, and my motto for life is do your best, you'll never regret. Let's start with some fun facts. Do you know what is the average length of a team retrospective? Please try to guess in the chat. Okay, I see some good answers. So according to Parable, it's about 27 minutes. But if you will ask an agile coach, it will tell you that it should take at least 1 hour. What is the common frequency to schedule a team retrospective? Also, try to guess in the chat. Okay, so most of the teams are running retrospective every 2 weeks, and minor numbers of teams are running retrospective after 4 weeks. What is the most common retrospective template? Okay. As most of you probably guess, it's the what went well and what doesn't. Let's put aside the fun facts and dive in. So why do we really need a retrospective? We need a retrospective to learn from the past, improve the future by bringing a positive change. A sprint retrospective is like a safe space for people to share honest feedback. As Richard Bandler said, there are no failures, only feedbacks. Some of the benefits of a retrospective are to build trust in the team, to empower people, to share knowledge, and to encourage learning. One of the important things in a retrospective is the timing. When do we need to run a retrospective? The keyword retrospective indicates to look back or dealing with a past situation. That's why a retrospective needs to occur when the sprint is completed and just before the beginning of the next sprint. So we'll take those action in the next sprint. A good retrospective agenda should include 5 things. First is set the stage, gather data, generate insights, decide what to do, and wrap up. Let's focus on each step. Set the stage is needed since people are coming from different places, mentally and physically, and we need to bring them all to the same page and in the right motivation to the retrospective. A quick check-in to the group can work by asking the team what type of attitude they have toward the retrospective. Are they shopper, explorer, vacationer, or prisoner? You can also start with an appreciation exercise. Ask each one of the team to share his appreciation to another person in the group. And you can also start with an icebreaker question, like, what is your superpower? What present you will give each member of the team? If you could pick up, a new skills, what would it be? When is your energy level? When do you prefer to take meetings? Those questions will show how well they know each other. And if they don't, it will help them to get to know each other better. You can also start with a rate action. Rate your happiness, rate your safety, rate your motivation. One example I did with my team was the growth radar. I asked them to rate their growth status if they are just bored, if they are in their comfort zone, if they really have challenges, or it's really too much for them. Also, one of the most powerful and fun activities is games. You can start meeting with a team building game or an agile game. A game will really improve the engagement of the team, will help to improve negotiation, decision making, confidence, and will build empathy to each other. A famous agile game is the Marshmallow Tower. Surprisingly, kindergarten kids perform better than university students in this game. You'll probably ask yourself why. So let me share with you. Kids are not afraid to fail fast and learn in an iterative way, while students try to find the best and single solution. And when they failed, it was already too late. An alternative remote game with Miro is the game of circles. In this game, the goal is to pass as many balls as possible through the numbered areas into the big black and yellow circles. There are a few rules which make it a little bit complicated that I can give later on to anyone who is interested. But the idea of this game is that you have few iterations, and in each iteration, you will do a mini retrospective and planning to improve every cycle. Another game is the desert survival. Your task is to rank several items to take to a desert while your airplane crashed. First, you ask each one to rank it individually. And in the second round, you ask to decide as a group. Most of the time, the score or the first round is less than the second round, which emphasizes the power of the group. Another fun idea is to create your sprint song. Ask each one of the team to create a song of the previous sprint. This way, they will have an opportunity to share their feelings without words. See an example I created. So I've described that I started the work in parallel into tasks, and then I was needed to stop working on one of them. And at the end, I finished all of them, hopefully. Okay, so once we have done the first step in the retrospective, and we're all in the same page, and we're ready to gather the data. So let's go over several templates to gather data. The Mad Sad Glad template is the template that encourages your team to be more emotionally aware, to help and build positive dynamics, and provide an opportunity to think about issues from a different perspective. Another great template is the Starfish. While the traditional retrospective is more a binary, the good and the bad, this type of retro provide more details and enable the team to be more specific and focus on actions. The sailboat is a good retro format when starting a new project, when you want to set your goals clearly, understand what could delay the team, what are the risks, what motivate the team and pushes them to succeed. Another fun idea is the taco retrospective. The team can describe what are their special ingredients, what are the missing ingredients, and more. So now that you have gathered the data, you need to focus on one or two items and think about a solution. The most simple way is by voting. And when you're thinking about voting count, consider the number of people you have, the number of cards you have, and the time you have to spend on voting. Once you have at least one topic you would like to discuss, so let's do it. A great quote from Steve Jobs is that if you define a problem correctly, you almost have the solution. So let's talk about a few problem-solving techniques. The 5 whys. These techniques assume that after 5 questions of why, you will find the root cause. For example, why did you run through a red light? Since I was late to work. Why? Since I woke up late. Why? Since the alarm didn't work. Why? There was no battery. And why? Because I forgot to charge my phone. Another technique is the 6 thinking hat. This technique helps team to look at problems and situations from a variety of perspectives. It also helps people to be more productive, focused, mindfully involved, and the facilitator should wear the blue hat, and the group can go through the 5 hats in a predefined order. You can ask the team to wear each time only one color, or ask them to wear a different hat. But take into consideration that in the second approach, you will have more conflicts. The round robin techniques. It's a better way to give all the team the opportunity to participate in this step, especially in a group with introverts. There are only 2 rules in this technique. Every participant can contribute to the conversation in his turn, or using the option to pass. If they have nothing to contribute in that round, the brainstorming session is over once everyone makes a pass. Very simple but helpful is the mind map diagram. I really use it a lot, and it really helps to freely define the problem and what we are trying to solve. Okay, so we defined well what is the problem. Now what? One of the most productive techniques is to define an action item is SMART, which means to be specific, to be measurable, to be attainable, to be relevant, and have a time bound. A good example of experiment definition that I got from our Agile coach, Naama Gafni, is to define the problem, the hypothesis, how you will know it's successful, who is the owner, and what is the duration and the scope of the experiment. For example, if we would like to do your dailies shorter, you can define an experiment to reduce the meeting time by half. You should define an owner to make sure you're not running out of time tomorrow, and you should define who are the participants, how long the experiment should take, and for example, that the scope is the dailies between Tuesday to Thursday. Don't worry to take an experiment over and over and make it better and better every time. As Thomas Edison said, our greatest weaknesses lies on giving up. And the most certain way to succeed is always to try one more time. Last but not least, the wrap up. You can ask the team to write takeaways. Everyone can write sticky note with the most remarkable things they have learned during the retro. Another great idea to get feedback on how the retro went is the Fist of 5 technique. Ask the team to rate the meeting from 0 to 5. So Just one more thing before we finish. Focus on the influence area. It's very important as a team that we focus on the influence area. One of my favorite exercise when I feel my team is complaining on things which they don't have influence on, I'm asking them before voting to grab the tickets to this radar graph and vote only on the tickets in the sphere of influence and the control area. This way, we're making sure we're investing our time wisely. Okay, so what we have learned today. We learn about a retrospective in general, cool activities to open a retrospective, different types of retrospective templates, problem-solving techniques, and how to take action items from a retrospective meeting. Questions, if we have time.
We do have 2 minutes left. Let's see if anyone has any questions. But the session was like really cool. If we can apply even half of the techniques in our retro, I am sure that it will be twice as effective as we are having it now.
I'm happy to hear.
Sure. So I don't see any questions. So I guess we can share the slides with people over the Slack channel. And if we have Vitaly with us to talk on the topic of distributed tracing with Lambda and step function,
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, sure.